So now we're going to be talking about the thyroid gland. We talked about the adrenals, and so we're going to jump into the thyroid. And this small gland sits right here on your neck, and it functions on the brain, the heart, and the muscles. They all rely on thyroid hormone and its metabolism.
Yeah, the thyroid controls the basal metabolic rate. It's like the idling of a car. If you're idling fast, you're going to be burning more gasoline or electricity. If you're idling low, you're more comfortable. If you're idling too low, then you're going to be tired all the time. The car cannot get going, right?
Right.
So the proper tuning is critical.
Yeah. And what is the thyroid hormone made out of? It is used by combining iodine from food with tyrosine, an amino acid in the synthesis of proteins. And so the thyroid pathway starts with your hypothalamus that releases the thyrotropin releasing hormone, also called TRH. TRH then goes to your pituitary gland to release TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And then the TSH goes to your thyroid to produce T3 and T4 hormones. T3 and T4 have a negative feedback loop to the pituitary. So when it says, we have enough hormones, we're going to tell the pituitary, you don't need to put out more TSH, okay? So then your amount of TSH decreases. So T4 and T3. T4 is actually a prohormone, meaning it gets converted into T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone. And the T3 is four times stronger than the T4, but you have a lot more T4 being produced than the T3. Okay, and so the body contains receptors for T3 because that's the active form.
Yeah, this one big category is that you can have normal labs based on thyroid function testing by your doctor and still have low thyroid function. So it's not necessary that it's 100% go by lab. You have to look at the person, the whole person, and look at all the pieces together, okay? So that is very important because in adrenal fatigue, we see a lot of people with low thyroid function, but their thyroid numbers are perfect. And in fact, they've been on thyroid replacement, and after a while, they find that it's not even working. Because if you don't have a strong adrenal function, then no matter how good the thyroid replacement is, it has a limit in the response.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us what sometimes causes these thyroid imbalance, Dr. Wang?
When you have a primary failure of the thyroid gland itself, such as autoimmune diseases, then you have primary hypothyroid. And that is what majority of the conventional world deal with. As I said, if you have a low adrenal function, the body tends to slow down. And the body finds the best way to slow down is by reducing the speed of metabolism. So the body tells the thyroid glands, hey, let's slow down to conserve energy. And so therefore, you're going to automatically feel tired. It's not something wrong with your body. It's your body's way of whispering to you, hey, that is really time to rest, is what I'm saying. Not, on top of that, the thyroid will also convert some of the T4 into reverse T3, which is a braking mechanism instead of T3. So from T4, it goes to T3 normally. But if you have a tired body that wants to slow down, the T4 will go to reverse T3 instead of the T3. So the body is very smart, is what I'm saying. It does its own thing. You don't worry about the body. But if you try to say, well, we want to have more T3, we want to have more energy, we don't care, then you just give the body more and more thyroid. That sometimes can be very, very problematic. Huh? Okay.
Right, and you talked a little about the reverse T3 and how reverse T3 can also be affected is through cortisol. When cortisol levels are high, when the body is under stress, it inhibits the conversion from T4 to T3 and therefore tells the body to convert the T4 into reverse T3. And the reverse T3 is the one that's opposing the function of normal T3.
Yeah, so if you imagine a car, it drives itself. You have a brake, you have the gasoline pedal. The body automatically, it moves either way. You see what I'm saying? It's just when these two are imbalanced, that's when you get into trouble. Now, all this may sound very convoluted to you. And indeed it is because the body has so many pathways, but it is perfectly designed and it works perfectly if you leave it alone. So be very, very careful. When you look at the symptoms, is it really a broken gland, or is it really the body's way of telling you that, warning you to pay attention more? It's really not broken. It's just ringing the alarm bell. You may not like the alarm bell, but it does not mean that the body is broken. It's just a way of bodies talking to you. Huh?
Right. So why don't you tell us some of the supplements that can help with thyroid function?
Well, the common supplements, including zinc, you can do selenium, you can do glandulars like thyroid glands, you can do probiotics, you can do iodine, which is very common. And all of this has its place. But you have to be very careful, because if you supplement it wrongly, either too much or too low, you can get into real trouble. Even iodine, if you take too much, you can put yourself into a hyperthyroid situation, which is not good. And in the case, especially when you have a concurrent adrenal fatigue, if you try to help, but do it too aggressively or do it wrongly, and the body doesn't like it, you can actually trigger what we call adrenal crashes, because your body's already in a sympathetic mode, as Dr. Carey said earlier. So it's almost like a baby that needs milk and needs water to get better. But instead of milk or water, you throw in some Coca-Cola, you throw in some coffee, and then the baby may get better, but it's going to have a hyperactive baby, you see. So you don't want to do that. You want to give the body the tools to help it nurture. So it's not about the thyroid supplements. It's about what you understand how the body's state is at every point in time to match what it needs, okay? So that's what you have to always be very careful. It's easy to take these supplements, okay? And it's easy to think that you're doing the right thing, but you may not and not even know it.